Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome into another day of Morning JOX. Conrad Van Order and Damian Mitchell here with you until 7 o'clock. Recapping everything you may have missed last night, as well as diving into some more of our college football conversation as we are continuing to approach the fall. The season will be here before we know it. We'll be about 3 weeks from now. We'll be in Atlanta, Georgia with SEC Media Days, and that's when it really feels like, okay, football is right around the corner, and that's when you can start to see the gears turning in everyone's head, and it's time to start talking some ball. And so we're going to spend a little time with Alabama today. We spent a lot of time with Auburn yesterday talking about some of the recruiting concerns that people are having right now, as well as trying to go through and just break down their upcoming schedule for the 2025 season for you. So we're going to spend some time with Alabama today. And we do have tonight the NBA draft coming up. We'll be at the Edge in Homewood at 6 p.m. tonight. Would love for anybody to come out there and see myself, Pat Landrum, and Molly, the three-man front crew. Will be out there with the Birmingham Squadron, hanging out, doing a meet and greet, watching the NBA draft, maybe watching Janai Broom go in the later part of the first round, but potentially still a first-round pick there. But maybe we'll be waiting until tomorrow for him. I think we all know Cooper Flagg is going to go number one overall, but that's going to be a big time tonight out there at the Edge in Homewood. We'll be out there around 6 o'clock, so hope that you can come out there and make it with us. But we'll start today's show similarly to how we started yesterday, but on a more positive note, because yesterday you had a lot of concern around Auburn recruiting, and, you know, once you get to a certain level of concern, Damian, there's really nothing that it feels like can bring, the fan base out of it. But hopefully yesterday, the fact that they did land another commitment, so their sixth commitment now in the upcoming class for the Auburn Tigers, maybe this is going to calm the waters a little bit. Maybe no more panic on the plains, Damian. But Auburn lands, and this is actually a really cool story. So they land a commitment from an offensive tackle. His name is Nico Heppy, I think is how you pronounce it. But he is from New Zealand, and he is actually a student athlete at the NFL Academy over for their Asia Pacific region academy. And he is their first student to commit to a college here in the United States to play college football. But he's a 6'7", 350-pound offensive lineman from New Zealand. He had been also considering Florida State, Central Florida, and UAB, but he ultimately lands with Auburn. He grew up playing rugby. And so essentially what these academies do, because I did a little digging because I wasn't familiar with them until I heard about this kid yesterday, but essentially they just go, it is trying to grow the game of American football across the globe. That's essentially the idea. And so they go and they take some high-level kids that they think have maybe not been exposed to the game of American football, but from an athletic standpoint could be developed into future college and even professional level professional football players. And so they kind of give them an opportunity to learn about the game, get acclimated, and train, and then ultimately get placed potentially in a college like Auburn. So very cool story as Auburn lands the first ever student athlete from the Asia Pacific NFL Academy, and Nico Heppy, the offensive tackle, and certainly going to be fun to watch his development there on the plains and just kind of how his story progresses. But nonetheless, a very cool moment yesterday for a lot of Auburn fans. I know it's maybe not a blue chip guy that you were hoping would turn the tide, but hey, it's got to start somewhere, right?
You're trending upward.
Yeah.
After everything that happened, over the weekend, it's kind of any positive momentum you can take, you'll take it.
Yeah, I'm just sad I can't use my Freeze 5 joke anymore because now they have 6. So that's the only unfortunate part about it. But congratulations to Auburn and to Nico and his family. Hopefully, I guess when you come from rugby, coming over and playing American football, you probably think it's kind of tame a little bit. So it's probably not as big of an adjustment from that standpoint. But we will see how things go for him. But not to be outdone, Alabama had – hey, Auburn's going to get a recruit today. All right, well, we got to get a commitment from somebody today. And this, I know, Damian, this one is absolutely massive. I can't believe we're not talking about it more. But Alabama gets a commitment from a walk-on long snapper.
Let's go.
From the state of Wisconsin.
Lock
it in. Yeah, Eli Dutch. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. Out of Wisconsin. He was I believe the 16th highest rated long snapper in the upcoming class. I'm impressed they even ranked that many of them. But just being honest. But yeah, no, good for Alabama. They go and you get a walk on it. It's more of a joke than anything. But hey, long snappers are important. I know Nealon Hibbert. He finds himself in the NFL or with an opportunity to make an NFL team this year based on what he's done at Alabama the last couple of years. So, hey, long snapper's important, and those are the kinds of guys that you don't think about them until they do something wrong, and then you realize how important it is to have a good one.
Exactly.
So, hopefully, Eli Dutch can come in and be that next guy for Alabama, but that was really the only big news for the Crimson Tide yesterday. So, you have an offensive lineman from New Zealand for Auburn and a walk-on long snapper from Alabama.
Let's go.
So,
they are also positions on the field. So
they are indeed.
If you know your long snapper's name, that means he's done something wrong.
That's a good point.
That's I've always thought about that. Couldn't name you a long snapper to save my life, but if you ever name one, that means he didn't do his job effectively.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And I guess you would probably rather have it that way for the player because you don't want people to know your name, because if they do, it's probably they're probably not saying very nice things to you online. So that's a little bit of your recruiting news for today. So again, not a whole lot coming down, but we do know over the next week or two, a lot of these big commitments are going to roll in. I mean, if you follow, I'll just say this: if you follow Hayes Fawcett on social media, I mean, I feel like every time I pulled up Twitter yesterday, that was a boom, boom, boom. Like you had all these different kids committing and all the graphics going around and stuff. So it is certainly that time of year, and it is certainly heating up on the recruiting front. But a little bit more from last night that you may have missed. You did have the Braves and Mets in action again. Braves looking to continue their hot streak. Hadn't lost to the Mets all season long, and that would continue last night as Atlanta gets a 7-4 victory over the Mets. They are now 5-0 against the New York Mets this season. They are 28-10 in their last 38 games against the New York Mets. So when you're talking about, hey, what does Atlanta need to do to get back in the postseason race? Essentially, you need to do what you've done to the Mets over the last 38 games against everyone else on your schedule. And but hey, you'll take it certainly at this time. But the Mets continue to struggle. Atlanta finds a way to win. They're able to score 5 runs in the top of the 6th inning. That was ultimately all that they really needed to get through. But you had Spencer Strider. He goes 5 innings. He gives up 3 runs, strikes out 8, did walk 4 guys, though, and had a little something to say to Juan Soto after striking him out, letting him know that that ball was right down the middle and you didn't swing at it. So nice to see a little bit of that fire back from Spencer Strider. But Matt Olson, he has 3 RBIs on the night. Riley adds an RBI. Albies adds another one. Eli White and Nick Allen as well. So just kind of an all-around effort tonight from the Atlanta Braves, who now find themselves at 37-41 on the season, which, if you are keeping tabs at home, means that you are 9.5 games out of the National League East. But that's not really what we're worried about at this point. We're worried about the wild card, right? And if you are looking at the wild card, you are 6 games back of the final wild card spot, which right now would be is actually in a tie between the Brewers and the Cardinals. But the good news for you, Damian, is your team got a little bit closer to the wild card last night, as they're now the Cincinnati Reds 2 games back of a playoff spot, as you have now taken back-to-back games over my team in walk-off fashion last night in 11 innings. So congratulations.
I appreciate it, Conrad. I really do. Are y'all hitting like a little dry spell right now, or?
Yeah, this happens every summer. The Yankees just really suck for about – it's either right before the All-Star break or right after the All-Star break. There's about a 2 to 3 week period where it's really bad.
Oh, so we're catching y'all at the right time.
Correct.
Gotcha. We'll take it.
But I don't know. We may just be bad this year. But yeah, so the Yankees follow the Reds. So there you go. Damian gets to be happy, and hopefully they don't get the sweep today. But based on what we've seen the last couple of days, no reason to expect more from my team. So that's always fun. But that's your MLB update there. So Atlanta, keeping things interesting, right? We can have we can keep having the conversation. Now, maybe if you're a Braves fan, this is your worst nightmare because you'd rather them just really, really, really like. There's not even worth the thought of making a postseason run, and you could just kind of move on with your life, right? But now, like, I mean, you're hanging on all summer at this point, right? I mean, they're dragging you along. I mean, I feel like they're doing it on purpose, honestly. But
and it's just against the Mets. Like, I mean, if you keep beating them, it kind of gives you a little bit of hope. It's just, when the Marlins and the Phillies and the Nationals roll around, can you find the consistency?
Yep, and the good news, though, is after the Mets, you do get the Phillies. So if you are able to string something together here, this would certainly be the time to do so. But we will see. I'm not going to hold my breath, and I don't think many Atlanta Braves fans are going to do that either. So quickly, I did mention at the beginning, we do have the NBA draft coming up tonight. We're going to be at the Edge in Homewood at 6 p.m., and would love to see you out there. The draft is going to start around 7. So we know Cooper Flagg's going to go number 1 to the Mavericks. That's, set in stone. We all know that. But what about Janai Broome? So I went and found some different projections from 4 different sites in terms of what their NBA mock drafters are telling them about Janai Broome. And so this is the expectation, if you're an Auburn fan. Where will Janai Broome go in the NBA draft? Well, the mock drafters seem to think that he is locked into the second round. Maybe could creep up, if somebody really falls in love with him, to a very late first-round pick. But it does look like he's going to go in the second round. So according to ESPN, they have Janai Broome going 44th overall to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Hey,
not a bad landing spot.
Not at all.
Not a bad landing spot. So that would be probably the best case scenario, honestly, if you're Janai Broome. But ESPN has him going to OKC at 44. The Athletic has him going 38th overall to San Antonio. So you get him, Wembanyama, going on down there in San Antonio. Yahoo has him going 41st overall to the LA Clippers. And then Sports Illustrated has Janai Broome going 47th overall to Milwaukee, which depends on if Giannis is there or not. If he's not there, that might be kind of rough.
You're in rebuilding mode.
Correct. So that's just what some mock drafters are telling you about where they expect Janai Broome to go in this year's draft. So looking like he's going to be a day 2 guy, but we will certainly wait and see and hope that you're able to make it out to the Edge in Homewood tonight to take all of the festivities in with us from 3-man front. Well, there's something going on in college athletics as well that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. And I think it caught us off guard in basketball season, and now it caught me off guard in football season. And so there's a university in the Big 12, Damian, that appears like they want to be a big-time player in the world of college athletics and NIL and this whole new landscape that we currently operate in college athletics. So next, we will tell you who that is and should you be concerned about this team being a powerhouse in college athletics. You're listening to Morning JOX. 6:18, welcome into the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX. Connor and Damian here with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. So appreciate you making us a part of your morning each and every day. And as I just told you about, there is a university in the Big 12 that seems to be making a big push in this new era of college athletics. And no, it's not Texas Tech. That is certainly one that would fit the bill, though. With the commitment that they have certainly made financially speaking, to football, with softball, we've seen it with basketball as well. But now there seems to be another one. And going back to basketball season, if you know the name A.J. DiBonsa, there is a highly coveted recruit in the world of college basketball. And there were rumors being thrown around of schools offering him anywhere from, $4, $5, $6, even $7 million. And Alabama, for example, was one of the teams that was a finalist when he was, making his final decision for where he would play college basketball. And wouldn't you know, BYU is actually the big winner in that one when it comes to breaking open the bank for a college basketball recruit. Well, it appears they did the exact same thing yesterday, because BYU just landed a commitment from a 5-star quarterback in the upcoming class in Ryder Lyons. So he is first off, pretty cool. Like Ryder Lyons. I mean, that's that just sounds like a BYU quarterback name. But he's the first 5-star football player to commit to BYU in over 22 years. It was 2003 was the last time that BYU got a 5-star commitment. So you've now gotten a 5-star quarterback in football. You've gotten the premier talent from a college basketball recruiting standpoint for the upcoming season as well. I have to imagine between what you're hearing, what you've heard from Diabanza, and now with Ryder Lyons, I mean, for these two kids alone, you're probably going to be spending in the ballpark of $8 million this next year for 2 athletes on your campus.
Whew.
And, so it's just, I mean, I'll be honest, like BYU's not one of those schools that I looked at and said, man, that's going to be somebody that could be a major player when it comes to the financials of all of this. But they seem to be making a statement, Damian, that, hey, there might be some of you that, can't keep up in this world or you don't know if this is sustainable, but we're certainly going to show you right now that we're taking this seriously, and whatever may come in the future, we want you to remember that BYU is a serious athletic university and we should, be a part of things. So it's just kind of an interesting move, but we'll see how it works out for them.
It's the nature of college athletics now. And I mean, they move a little different out there. It's a little different from most institutions, but if you can find a way to pay a 5-star to come to BYU, you're doing something right. I don't know I'm not too familiar with Ryder Lyons. I don't know, what he practices or anything, but I just hope he has fun. He'll be paid handsomely well, but just a little different. Just a little different. And also, if you're in the Big 12, it's like, oh, now, like you said, now BYU has entered the chat as far as spending all this money to get players. Okay, then that's a sleeping giant, because if they get it right, they can start. I mean, it's like I said, it's just different out there. But I'm interested to see what the Big 12 does now. Like, it's BYU has entered this, I guess you'd say, pool of money that they can pull from, and now also they can bring 5 stars there. So congratulations to BYU.
Yeah, certainly so. And so how about this? So he's the 3rd highest rated recruit in the history of BYU football. And so, okay, I'm making sure that I have this correctly. Okay, so he would have been a 2026 class guy. He is actually a 2027 class guy. But the reason for that is because he is going on a year-long mission trip with the LDS Church prior to starting his college football career. So he will have – okay, so I guess he's graduating from high school this year, and then he's going on a mission trip, taking a year off, whatever, and then he'll be a part of the football program in 2027. But that's what's going on for BYU, so they certainly are trying to make themselves or make a name for themselves in the college football world with a move like that. We have some of your text coming in as well as your phone calls. Some of you wanting to weigh in on some of the recruiting news that we've gotten already this morning for both Alabama and Auburn. Again, nothing crazy, but if you missed it and you're just now joining us, Alabama gets a walk-on long snapper, which, make all the jokes you want, but they are just as important as every other position on the field, because as Damian said, that's one of the positions you don't want to know that guy's name, because that means they're not doing something right. So hopefully Alabama gets a key contributor there. And then Auburn, they go and get an offensive tackle from New Zealand, who is the first member of the NFL's Asia Pacific Academy to commit to a university here in the States. So a cool opportunity there. And we have Don chiming in on the courtesy GMC text line, which you can do so as well, 205-834-9450. He says, good morning, guys. Auburn finally breaks its recruiting drought. It might be a project recruit, but that's okay. Please watch the story about when he got the offer from Auburn. It's a beautiful story. See everyone at the Edge tonight for the NBA draft. Well, thank you, Don. Appreciate you chiming in there. And yeah, that's the thing with Auburn and Nico. Again, it's not a blue chip prospect. This is a kid that you're hoping can come in and develop. And I would assume, by junior year is, maybe a factor in your rotation on the offensive line. I think that's what you're looking for here. If you get more than that, obviously you're going to take it. But, this isn't the kind of guy that you're expecting to come in and make an immediate impact, on the playing field. But certainly good to see Auburn getting back, in the swing of things on the recruiting trail. We have Ranger. Okay, Ranger. Yeah, I know what you're talking about because I did see this. This was one of those social media hoax things, where people get a little. It's just one of those stories that's not true, but gets spread around on social media because somebody sees it on Facebook or something, and then it starts to spread like wildfire. There was a rumor about a particular coach here in the state stepping away from their program, and then that program going and hiring your favorite head coach from Knoxville.
What?
Yeah, it's one of those Facebook. Okay, again, it's
fake news.
Total fake news, social media, whatever. Yes, there was some post going around yesterday that said Hugh Freeze was going to step down from Auburn, and they were going to go and hire Josh Heupel and make him the highest paid coach in all of college football to leave Knoxville and go to Auburn.
Cut it out.
That's not happening.
Cut it out.
Yeah, that was just one of those.
Why would he? Anyway.
So, yeah, Ranger. So if you saw that, it's just one of those things that kind of catches fire on social media. No, that's not happening. Hugh Freeze isn't stepping down at Auburn.
And Heupel wouldn't dare. He wouldn't. No.
I'll take your word for it. You know the guy pretty well.
Exactly. He wouldn't dare.
I will.
But if he did, oh, boy.
Let's see. Jamie, he chimes in. He says, I was a long snapper back in 1985 at Warrior High School. It's a very important position. I also played other positions, but a long snapper needs to be the quietest person on the field because, like Damian says, if you're calling his name, you've got a major problem.
Exactly.
That is absolutely right, Jamie. They don't get enough love, but it's kind of the nature of the position, but you're certainly going to get a lot of hate when you do something wrong. That is for sure. Let's see. JB also chimes in. Man, you got a lot on your mind this morning. He says, I will start off the show with this thought. He sent this in before we got on the air, so he's been thinking about this all morning. He says, Coach Freeze in Auburn, outside of beating Nick Saban 2 times, what has he ever done? What has he ever won, and how consistent of a winner has he ever been? Auburn thinks they got a home run hire, and now they're seeing what they really got 3 years later.
Hey, man.
Just
woke up and chose violence.
Couldn't sleep last night. That was weighing him down. Look, I think we can all agree that Hugh Freeze is a good offensive mind. Did he beat Alabama multiple times at Ole Miss? Yeah. And do we think that probably played maybe a small factor in Auburn's decision? I certainly think it helped, right? If you've proven that you can beat the greatest college football coach and that program's biggest rival multiple times, I certainly think that's going to help. But let's wait and see how this year goes before we start throwing stones. I'm still giving old Hugh one more year, and I think a lot of Auburn fans should do the same. Let's see. Bo in Haleyville chimes in. He says, sounds like Ryder Lyons is really going to soak in the BYU experience.
See what you did there. Appreciate
the wit at 6:30 in the morning. Thank you, Bo. That was good. Ranger, okay, yeah, Ranger says, yeah, it's a shame that people take a heartbreaking thing like that and use it for clicks. Sorry, I fell for it. No, hey, I mean, it happens. It's hard, man, to when you're on social media, the amount of times, every single day, at least once or twice, you'll see a post that you're like, I have to go look at the account. How many followers do they have? Is it a typo? Because the amount of, people will literally make an account of, an Adam Schefter. They'll change one letter to an uppercase instead of a lowercase, use the same profile picture, pay for the blue check mark, and it all looks legit, and you have to do the dig. So it's certainly difficult to figure out, Ranger. So it's gotten all of us before, not just you. But yeah, that was certainly a little bit of a nasty rumor that was going around last night. So you can keep chiming in with your thoughts, 205-834-9450. Do you have thoughts on some of the recruiting news lately for both Alabama and Auburn? And coming up next, we did this yesterday for the Tigers, so now we're going to do it today for the Crimson Tide. We're going to go through and look at the upcoming season for Alabama, all 12 regular season games, and I'm going to give you my ranking from 12 to 1, the easiest to the hardest. Who are the most difficult opponents on Alabama's schedule? And on the other end, who are the easiest opponents on Alabama's schedule? So we'll dive into all of that next here on JOX. Welcome back into the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX. Conrad and Damian here with you, diving into the Alabama schedule for the upcoming year. Going to try to rank the opponents, who's going to be the easiest, who's going to be the hardest opponent for Alabama this upcoming season. And your input is always appreciated as well, 205-834-9450. So before we do that, let's go to Deacon real quick. He's been waiting patiently this morning, and he has some Alabama football stuff on his mind. So how are we doing this morning, Deacon?
I'm doing good. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, not much. Just another great day here, Deacon.
I hate that I've missed a couple of days, but they've been working my face off at work. But once I set my mind to something, like my papa used to say, I hang in there like a rusty fish hook. So, Damien, I'm coming back at you, brother. I'm a very emotional fan, very emotional. But I'm going to bring to you a logical reason for you to roll with the Tide this year.
Talk to me.
I'm looking out for your finances. I'm looking out for your economic health. Think of this. You are already a rabid Alabama basketball fan, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
You join us on the gridiron in college football heaven, and, brother, you only have to buy one set of gear.
It's a great point.
You can wear the same gear.
You could even wear a basketball shirt to a football game. People would be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing. You will have to pack. I'm not saying you got to throw it away. Just, you've got to pack it away for at least the year you're with us. That Josh Heupel bobblehead, pack it away 1 year. I think I'm climbing an uphill battle because you've still got Tennessee in your top 10, which hurts my heart that you still might go with the Vols. But I'm giving it my best shot. I'm coming at you as hard as I can, Damien, to bring you to football heaven for at least 1 year.
Deacon, do you think you should just throw the bobblehead away?
Bring it to me. I got a shotgun.
That would also work.
I'll make quick work. Quick work of Josh Heupel. I'm afraid that Damien already has wedding invitations and wants his last name to be Heupel. But I'm not sure. Now, one more thing, fellas. I've already offered for you and Conrad, Alabama onesie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to up it. The game you come to as a Crimson Tide fan, after announcing that you will roll with the Tide this year, you and Conrad are my guests for a visit to the legendary Dreamland for a rack of ribs.
It's a pretty good offer
the
right
day
there,
you
Damien.
come to the game.
Yeah, that's
we're
pretty
going
good.
to Dreamland. Also, one thing away from all of this, the whole NIL thing. Number one, if Auburn wasn't paying so many coaches they paid to go away, their NIL situation might be a little better. However, why? I don't understand this, and I can't get anybody to explain it to me. All this money they're giving these kids just out of high school. About 1% of college football athletes go on to play professional sports. If you've got, say you get $1 million a year, why not give this kid a stipend of $5,000 a month? And I know these kids nowadays would say that's nothing, but a lot of families of four don't make $5,000 a month.
Yep.
But give these kids $5,000 a month, put the rest into an escrow account for these young men and young women so that when they get out of college, they've got a stepping stool to build a life off of instead of blowing it all, and you're seeing 18, 19-year-old kids now driving Ferraris and Lambos. A freak accident, a freak injury, just ask Tyrone Prothero. Anything can happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Appreciate the call, Deacon. Thank you for becoming a regular here with us on Morning JOX. I agree with what he said. It's a nice idea, right? But the reality of it is, you go and tell some kid that, they're going to say, all right, I'll see you later, man.
Right.
Just not even going to entertain that conversation, which is unfortunate. But people, you want the instant gratification, right? You want to be able to go out and buy that Lamborghini or whatever that you've, been eyeing with your first NIL check. That's the way that it is. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be going away anytime soon. And now it's even going to BYU. I thought that was the one school we could count on, Damian, to operate with integrity, right? And now they're just like the rest of us. What is this world? What does this world come to, man?
You either catch up or you get left behind, brother.
Certainly so. And, I guess they not getting left behind in Mormon country. That's what we learned yesterday. So, so appreciate the call there, Deacon. PG, we see you on hold as well. Still have to get to the Alabama schedule. Want to break that down for you as well, but we do have more texts, more calls to get to as well. So all of that coming up next here on the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX. All right, we're entering the home stretch here on the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX. Appreciate you being here with us as we get ready to hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Not yet, coming up at 7 o'clock. We still have to get to Alabama's 2025 schedule, where I'm going to tell you who the easiest team is on their schedule, who the hardest team is, who the seventh hardest team is, in my opinion, and then Damien will tell me how wrong I am, and then y'all will text in and tell me how wrong I am. So we will get to your phone calls, your text, 205-834-9450, coming up in just a matter of moments. But let's hit the ground running here, Damien. So the Alabama football schedule, they will play 12 games in the upcoming regular season. 7 of those will be within the confines of Bryant-Denny Stadium, and 5 of those will be on the road. And so I have gone through and I have ranked all of them for you. So at number 12, this one was real easy. The easiest opponent for Alabama this year is going to be Eastern Illinois. They're bad. They're really, really bad. There's really no way around it, but Alabama's going to pay them a lot of money to go to Bryant-Denny and get a little scrimmage in. So that's going to be the easiest game. Then you have La Monroe. Again, that's a program that they're trying to get back on track, but I don't think we're going to have a 2007. I'll just say that. So I have them as 11. At number 10, this is probably going to be a little controversial. And I mainly have them here because Alabama is going to be on high alert for this game. I put Vanderbilt at 10th. I know some people may say, whoa. I mean, that's a team that beat Alabama last year. And I understand that. I can't put Vanderbilt ahead of. It's hard for me to put them ahead of anybody in the SEC outside of Mississippi State and Kentucky. It is. So I have Vanderbilt as their 10th toughest game. At 9, I have Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not going to be great this year. Their win total is 5.5. Again, that doesn't mean anything, right? They could go out there and have a spectacular season, but I don't think the expectations are that Wisconsin's even going to be what they were last year, and we saw how that game went up in Wisconsin, and now it's going to be in Bryant-Denny. So I have Wisconsin at 9. I have Missouri 8th. I don't really know what to make of Missouri. That's a tricky one. If Bo Pribula turns out to be, the greatest thing since sliced bread, this is an interesting conversation. But I don't know what he is compared to Brady Cook, for example. So I have Missouri as the 8th toughest game. At 7, I have Florida State, the season opener. I think Florida State's interesting. They obviously have a lot of talent. Gus Malzahn certainly knows his way against an Alabama team. Now, granted, Nick Saban's not there, so it's very different for him. But still, there's a little bit of that going on, and they have good guys. It's just, is it going to, are they going to gel better than they did last year? So I have Florida State at 7. So now for the top half of the schedule, at 6, I have Tennessee. And again, it's just one of those things where, hey, it's in Bryant-Denny, Damien. It's in Bryant-Denny. And I need to see Aguilar. Let me see Joey Aguilar first, and then maybe they would bump up a couple spots. But I think right now it's safe to say that they would be behind everyone else I have ahead of them. At number 5, I have Oklahoma. Again, I'm high on Oklahoma. I think they're going to be very good. It's a team that beat you last year. And I think by that time, Mateer will be pretty comfortable in the SEC. And
yeah, Heisman Trophy.
That's right. Because he's going to beat Alabama and Bryant-Denny, and that's going to be his marquee moment, right? Number 4, I have at Auburn. At Auburn. Now, again, you could say what you want about what you think this Auburn team is going to be and how competitive they're going to be, but going to Jordan-Hare is tough. It is. It's tough for anybody, and it's really tough for Alabama. So I have them at 4. At 3, I have LSU. Alabama has a great track record against LSU, but I think they're going to be one of the very best teams in the SEC this year. It's going to be tough. So I have LSU at 3. At number 2, I have at South Carolina, and it's because it's on the road at South Carolina. If you wanted to put that one a couple spots lower, I'm not going to argue with you. But I think South Carolina is going to be very, very good. We saw them get close last year in Bryant-Denny. So now they have a great atmosphere up there at Williams-Brice. I think that's going to be a tough one. And then number 1 at Georgia. That's going to be the toughest game. I don't think anyone would debate that. So that's how my list goes. Damian, do you have any immediate thoughts on, man, can't believe you have that team there, or any disagreements?
No, just I would swap Vanderbilt and Missouri. That's the only one I would swap. Everything else was.
So you're
spot
really
on.
low on Missouri.
I know. I think Missouri is. I just do not think Missouri is going to be good. I really do not.
Okay, so you have Missouri over Vanderbilt, Missouri or Arkansas?
Oh, Arkansas.
Okay, I'm just trying. Okay, so
Yeah. They're on the bottom part of the middle tier teams. Like they're not Mississippi State, Kentucky bad, but probably like right above.
Okay.
Like
But below
reasonably.
Mm-hmm. It's tough.
I'd say that I'm gonna have to get back with you on that one.
But hey, that's a good conversation right there. If you're Vanderbilt, hey, we're in the conversation, right?
Because Vanderbilt, like the jury's out on him because it's all what Diego Pavia does. But he's good enough to beat. If he's good enough to beat in Alabama, I know he's better than good enough to beat a Missouri team.
Okay. I think.
But I just
nope.
I say that, but
that's certainly. I certainly think that's fair.
they have to stack it up. They have to stack it.
Exactly. Consistency, right? We
That's
saw
all
it
I'm
last
asking
year, but now you have a little bit. I'm not going to say they have a target, but you're not going to catch people off guard this year, right? So what are you
Right.
going to be able to do? I think that's where a lot of people have questions. So y'all have chimed in on the text line 205-834-9450. Someone chimes in and says, how many of those away games will they storm the field if they win? At South Carolina, I think you would. And I'll be honest, I think if Auburn wins in Jordan-Hare, I think they storm the field.
Oh, you know they are.
You're not going to do it at Georgia, not at Missouri.
Florida State might. If it's a walk-off fashion.
I could see Florida State doing it just because of how bad last season was.
Right.
But I definitely think South Carolina and Auburn would be locks to storm the field if they get those wins over Alabama this year. So we'll see. Let's see. Jamie says the toughest game for Alabama this year is going to be Florida when they face off in the SEC championship.
Oh, Florida's making to the SEC championship?
Woo, okay.
Whoa.
All right. I like it, Jamie. I like the bold take.
Wow.
Let's see. Deacon said, did I just hear you say Oklahoma is going to beat Alabama again? You just lost the sides with your ribs, Conrad. So,
you said it. You love John Mateer.
I'm cutting into my dreamland.
Right. And you saw Oklahoma last year.
I did.
And it
scared
hit
me.
It hit you in the heart.
It scared me. It's like, man, we're going to have to deal with this now in the SEC? It was terrifying. FJF chimes in. He says, Damian, drop Bama. We don't want him.
He's the only one.
Okay.
And it's not going to sway my recruitment.
We have an Auburn fan chiming in. He says, respect, but WDE, Deacon makes some really good points. See, we're bringing Alabama and Auburn fans together. That's what we like to do here on Morning Jocks. Somebody says, well, didn't Gus beat Saban a couple times? Where is he now?
He's the offensive coordinator at Florida State.
That is correct. He is going to face them in the first game of the season. And speaking of Florida State, their quarterback made some recent comments, and we have someone on the phone lines, and PG, resident Florida fan who is knows a thing or two about Florida State, wants to chime in there. But first, PG, let me ask you, we had somebody just say they expect Alabama and Florida in the SEC championship this year. Do you sign up for that?
Hey, dude's cool, man. He's got my vote. What was that guy named? Jamie?
Jamie, yeah.
You're the man. I appreciate that. But we just got the toughest schedule in the nation, but we'll see if that happens again. Yeah, that's going to.
Hey, you got Sunbelt Billy too, though. He's going to guide you through the storm, PG.
Yeah, and if he makes it, they ought to give him a lifetime contract.
Oh, I mean, hey, if y'all are in the conversation this year, if you win 9 games, I think he should be coach of the year. That schedule's tough.
Ought to be like Don 10-2, like Auburn. Oh, by the way, let me mention Auburn. Guys, they've gone European, haven't they? You see this guy from New Zealand, they got a guy in Germany probably coming. They're missing their real top athletes. They need to go to Amsterdam. And you know what happens in Amsterdam? Hugh Freeze is good at making a phone call. Go ahead, Hugh. Call Amsterdam, and you'll have the whole team being European. So, there you go. I'm so bad.
It's not even 7 a.m., PG.
I know I'm wound up with coffee, brother.
I can see it. I can see it. So, did you have some thoughts on Castellanos and what he said about Alabama?
Oh my God! FSU Dave's got to be flipping up and down. I mean, he needs to put a muzzle on that mouth. You can imagine that he's talking about now cutting on Clemson and the ACC. Who's next? I mean, this guy, he ought to be running for some kind of political office. He like the guy that just is head and mayor up there in New York that just won the Democrat.
Yeah, that was a whole thing yesterday. But hey, I mean, if you're gonna talk smack, I respect the confidence, but PG, I don't think we're gonna be hearing from Castellanos again until the game week.
I hope not. I hope they shut him up down there. They better.
Yeah.
Be picking on Florida.
No, so, you're right, PG. Hey, sorry, we got to run. Appreciate you chiming in. Hope we see you tonight again. We will be at the Edge in Homewood at 6 p.m. NBA draft party. Hope you can come out there and make it. Appreciate all the interaction this morning. Always a great time with your text, your calls. We're back tomorrow at 6 a.m. But as you know, right now, it's McElroy and Kubelik in the morning.